I would like to demonstrate a technology that I invented for managing, for your scene management, when you are working with a complex setup for your scene. How to manage complex setups in your scene, and technology is kept in secrecy, but a result I'm going to demonstrate its working power throughout a result that I achieved by using SDArLo scene management manager for doing my daily work in 3ds Max. Okay, so here is two models. Actually, it's kind of the same model, but it at the first look it looked like the same model. Okay, it looked like the same. There's no difference, kind of. But actually, when I'm gonna demonstrate, preview its details, you're gonna see how different they are. So this one was created at 2006 when I didn't yet develop my SDArLo scene management, and this one is at 2021, so I recently finished it, and with the help of SDArLo Scene Manager. So here is, I'm gonna start from the main body. Okay, so here is main body. So let's dive in to understand what's going on there. Here this oldest one is not comprised from, its shape is not corresponding for real world construction form. So while this one is real world construction form, it consists of real world, its shape is representing real world construction form. So if you in real world gonna take a metal sheet and kind of wrap it around some cylindrical form and then kind of stitch it at this kind of corner, you're gonna get this form, and here is a holes inside the body, while this one only contains this main hole and doesn't have any so it's not representing a real body form. So here is its kind of top capes. If I'm deleted it, you're gonna see it's kind of holes inside this shell area, while there is no any holes. Here is a rapid geometrical correct representation. There's nothing, it's just a complete circular shape. So one more time. So I would like to demonstrate a topological polygon topological shape, how perfect it is, while there is no preservation of topological shape when I'm gonna subdivide it. So here is the subdivision. I'm losing shape. Okay, if I turn off smoothing group basis subdivision, which is not desirable in real world practice, so you're gonna see it's losing its shape. So while, by the way, it doesn't contain these two minor holes, and it's a subdivision structure is not evenly distributed. So here is one subdivision which is not evenly distributed, and by the way, its curvature is not preserved while I subdivided it. So in correspondence to this old one, here is perfectly evenly distributed subdivision in curved surface, curved shape way, and it brought down to topology brought down to the minor holes details, and preserving body shape after I'm gonna turn on subdivision. And there is no smoothing group. Any operation at subdivision, and my shape is preserving. Okay, here is my shape, preserving shape. No matter how much I'm gonna subdivide it, it's gonna preserve the shape. So there is currently its subdivision level is 3. And you can see how I'm preserving, preserving polygonal topology shape of my construction. So I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Where was I? I was talking about body shape. Okay, I think one of the most complex shapes of this kind of door, grid door. Here is the old version. After turning on subdivision, you can see how it's losing its shape, design shape. Okay. While in this new version, you can see there's no change as I'm turning on and off my autosave. Cancel it, try to cancel autosave. Cancel it. Not working. Okay, working. So here you can see as I'm turning on and off. Oh, sorry. Here it is. As I'm turning it on and off, there's no change in shape. There's no change in the shape. So here's it off, off, on. There's no change, only subdividing. There is taking place polymesh subdivision for making it more smooth, for making mesh appear more smooth. So polygonal topology is 100% perfect. there is some minor tweaks that still need to be done, but overall it's 100% perfect, and proof for my definition is that as there is some leftovers to include in chamfering. Probably I can do that right now. Sorry, select and how about okay, yes. So you can see that it's one of the most kind of proud thing for this based on this modeling was accomplished by SDArLo scene management technology, and the most proud thing is that this, as you can earlier see, that the most part of this model is procedural. It means I can step back and parametrically make some changes, and it will stack up into a final result, and without need for additional remodeling, time-consuming remodeling process. So as you can see, I just selected some edges and get my chamfering happening. There's all these extrusions, insertions are also parametrical. So if I like, I can kind of make it narrower or wider. It's not completely, it's procedural, but it's kind of, I can say 50% procedural. It contains procedural kind of components. As you can see, it's 100% perfect polytopology state. And once again, turn on, turn off, and you can see that my shape is design shape, polymesh is preserving. Okay, so as you can see in the old model, because of lack of SDArLo scene manager, I wasn't been able to kind of construct my scene in a way so this scene will be a part of main body, like in this case, in the new version case. And I just faked it out by some putting on top of main body some extra geometry. Here it is, it's separate geometry, which is mimicking a seam, like in this case. So this is because I wouldn't be achieve this kind of complex modeling because of Lake SDArLo scene manager. So in this case, I have that accomplished because I have already SDArLo scene manager. So what I'm trying to show that how different is this one, this new version is how different is from the old version in terms of not the overall look, but in terms of complex modeling work I've done based on help of SDArLo scene manager. You may ask, why does one need to have this kind of complex result. Well, you can't animate this one, okay? This old one, you can't put this into an animation. Why? Because you do not have correctly described, mathematically correctly, perfectly described polymesh, which you can put into a deformation via variety of character rigging tools and technology. While this kind of perfectly designed poly surface, I'm going to show how complex this is just a second. This kind of complex, perfectly designed poly topology, you can it's possible, or you can deform perfectly with predictably. You can have predictable deformation in animation. So okay. So this kind of complex, this kind of perfectly shaped poly topology can be put into animation because it's possible to have a predictable deformation by rigging, by using variety of tools of rigging. Okay. Now I'm gonna preview how complex and procedural at some point, especially this chamfer point, is this cape. If I compare it with the old one, you can see this is just a kind of profile shape, which is rolled it around in a pivot throughout less modifier, and it's a kind of closed balloon surface. There's no just its detail is just this. Basically, is consists of this designed shape profile, and there's no polygonality at the capes, and the subdivision level of its throughout this circle along this circle shape, its subdivision level in no way is corresponding to its kind of subdivision level. I mean, the amount of polygons throughout this circle shape is not corresponding to its profile subdivision because it's not controllable. It's polygonal polygonality shaping is not controllable in this case, in the old version, while in this new version it's completely controllable. So if I turned off my subdivision. If I kind of turn off my procedural chamfering, you can see that you can see that how evenly is the subdivision distribution around its circle shape with its profile. So there's no close together stack up polygons like in this one. It's just minimal to preserve its shape, to describe its shape, and there's no chamfering corners which will mess and give unpredictable result at deformation for creating rig deformations for upcoming kind of for future putting this rig into all that deformation into animation. So you can see that precision and reality of modeling is 100%. So here is, you can see that one part is kind of entering into another part. So this cape is entering into a body and enclosing it from top. And its construction shape is 100% logically correct. It's 100% correct, corresponding to the real world conditions. So if you just take a 3D printer and start printing this, you're gonna get in real world you're gonna get with the result which you can put together like a Lego. And not only with this body, it's kind of connecting logically, in a correct logical way is connecting with this body, but also with these other data and other parts of the kind of this construction. So here is so it's kind of, if I'm going to put it in see-through mode, you can see that it is perfectly fitting with the rest part of this construction and in a correct logical way. And one of the difficult things was to, with the help of SDArLo Scene Manager, I was being able to put together and preserve logical connectivity with all these model parts with each other. All parts are logical correct way connected with each other, and at the same time I will be able to keep polygonality 100% correct and perfect, shape. The use of SDArLo Scene Manager. No other way was this possible to achieve. I won't be possible to achieve no other way. You can see how perfectly I even constructed this small deformation at body seam when body seam is kind of wrapping into each other. It's kind of shaping this kind of thick popped out section, and when this cape is put together, it will be deformed, kind of. Okay, you can see it's kind of fitting. This body is fitting inside this cape, and the deformation is occurring, kind of, is modeled, so it will be fitted perfectly, and there will be no intersections, polygon intersections. There will be no polygon intersections. And all this, but at the same time, I preserved this profile shape. Okay, profile shape for this area, deformed area, is preserved, and throughout all the way of this seam deformation, the main logic is preserved, and the polygonality is 100% perfect at corresponding to the rest of the part of the same part. Here is a view. This part, very complex part. But bottom is also, it's not that complex as the top one, but kind of. It's the same complex shaping is done for the lower part as well. So let's see the rest of this part. Okay, here is the old one. Okay, there's no kind of logic here, as you can see. It's kind of its correctness. Its correctness is acceptable until you're gonna until it is will be isolated from the rest of the parts, and there's no overlapping polygons which are covering incorrectness of this part. So if I isolate this, you can see that there's no hole inside this part, which should be, because the smoke is coming out from the main body where the kind of combustion is taking place, and all this smoke should come out. So there should be a hole, and these deformations are kind of inappropriately placed. So let's compare it. With this new one where you can see, I guess these chamfers are designed for installation purpose. When by using these chamfers, you can grab and hold and place this part, installed part into its place. So here in the new version, you can see how perfectly its polygonality is taking place. Okay, you can see that this chamfering area is gradually coming into stopping here, because you do not need chamfering taking place in this smoke area for the smoke to not leak out from these cavities. Okay, so you can see that it's stopping place here, and it's continuing perfectly shaping into non-chamfering area. And at the same time, I preserve it shape of this complex minor chamfering throughout the rest of the curvature of this part. So, and let me do this kind of way. I'm gonna so again, some turning on subdivision. My shape is preserving. There's no changing happening. Shape distortion is happening. While in case of this old one, some turn on my subdivision, you can see how shape is not preserving. You can see that my chamfering is losing its design. Okay, it's becoming some sort of not rectangular but some sort of spherical into shape, transferring into spherical shape. By the way, there is some artifacts, so the chamfering is, as the poly subdivision is corrupting design. Here is a lot of tons of artifacts. Again, this poly model was designed with the help of SDArLo Scene Manager. Perfect. There's no artifacts, there's no polygon intersections. Even if I'm gonna turn on X-ray overlapping faces on. Okay, turn off, change to manual upgrade. Okay, let's say I want to click here, let's say to upgrade. So I'm upgrading my X view to show you that there's no overlapping areas when chamfering is taking place. Here is my old version. If I'm turn on overlapping faces, okay. Sorry, it's not showing me any overlaps. It's showing 112 faces overlapping, but in viewport it's kind of not demonstrating where the overlaps are. Here it let's say I'm gonna breakfast cool. No. So I was expecting kind of more highlights. Here is highlights, here is highlights. All this green kind of highlights are included these 112 faces. I was expecting, more kind of overlaps, probably in this area. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's ugly. It's hideous subdivision with corrupting polygonal design model. While in this case, you're gonna see it will give 0 faces overlapping. So it's 93, 94. Okay, 0 face overlap. So I demonstrated that it's perfect design. There's no overlapping, there's no unpredictable vertex distributions. Here is in old version unpredictable vertex distribution, unpredictable vertex distribution. All this is unpredictable vertex distribution. Here is unpredictable vertex distribution. Here is unpredictable vertex distribution. Throughout all this chamfer section is unpredictable distribution. There's no curvature. This is ugly straight corner chamfering, unacceptable. You can see this is completely curved shaping after subdividing. So I have curved shape. There's no curved shape. So this is uncontrolled. This is controlled modeling. This is uncontrolled modeling. This is controlled modeling. SDArLo Scene Manager is giving you a power to control your work, to keep your work in a controllable vision, to get a controllable result in terms of polygonality, polysubdivision, shape construction, complex polygonal modeling for upsequence. It's for putting it into a predictable deformation and subdivision and texturing. So UW coordinate creation and texturing, mapping, and it's giving you control for your workflow. It's a powerful tool for controlling your workflow. And this is what it is SDArLo Scene Manager. So here I showed you that it's amazingly complex, detailed part with great details and controllable polygonality. With controllable polygonality. Result. Perfect. Now, let's see what else is there. There is some minor advancement also. It was possible to include some MCG tools I designed into a pipeline, kind of production pipeline, to clone these bolts around some shape to achieve this perfect distribution. As you can see in old version, the theme is also decorative. So you can see that it's kind of, again, closed cape, some sort of, no holes inside. Okay, it doesn't matter. It just was keep it in this end only. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The theme is decorative, while in this new version, I hate this isosceles. So, in this new version, you can see that the scene is constructed in a shaped way throughout all this deforming curved area. Okay? Throughout all this curved throughout all this curve, this shape is modeled. This is very important. It's not easy to achieve this kind of modeling. This was done with the help of SDArLo Scene Manager and technologies put for modeling also. This is not easy. This can be done easily because, as you can see, it's predictably, it's controllable way deformed in this area while keeping this line smooth and with consideration of this seam. So if I'm gonna put here a slice, I need to prove you. So let's say I'm going to kind of remove, just turn on my angle snap. So here is, you can see, as I'm moving let's say, as I'm moving my slice plane to show the inner structure of my mesh, you can see how perfectly all this inner seam is deformed throughout all the way throughout the deformation, and there's no penetration with each other in these inner walls. There's no penetration between inner walls throughout all the deformation. And this was all achieved by SDArLo Scene Manager in combination with SDArLo modeling. Okay, I'll show you one more time. There's no penetration, there's no intersections, it's just perfect clean surface parallel to each other deformation. So the gap that I designed for deformation is kept intact throughout all the way throughout the deformation. So there is no change between initial gap for inner walls of seam of this part. So this is another one, another kind of complex work that I've done at 2021, which wasn't included in the old version. So this is, you can see in the old version, this is just a decorative kind of form, while in this new one, it's a real constructive logical surface. Here is, I'm going to move away my chamfering. You can see throughout all the throughout all this kind of inside out surfacing, it's completely ideally shelled surface. SDArLo modeling, power of SDArLo modeling. And as you can see, as I'm turning on chamfering, poly subdivision, as I'm turning on poly subdivision, shape is preserving as we should expect it. Okay? SDArLo modeling, power of SDArLo modeling. Okay? So the same is true for this one. Oh, one more thing. Not only I managed to have this complex seam modeling and deformation, not only, but also here is the power of SDArLo modeling. As this part is entering into its corresponding, it's kind of into the next part, it's deforming, look, it's deforming its shape and popping this area up. Okay? So, as I mentioned, with SDArLo Scene Manager and SDArLo modeling, you can achieve different parts, kind of logical connection, keeping polygon topology perfect. So, as you can see, it's perfect. Oh, there is something I missed. Oh, I was kind of planned to add this detail, so I made a mistake. There's some room for improvement. So here is something that I still need to do, to put a deformation. So as this part is entering into it. Okay? It's not doing my problem. It's entering into it. Okay? This seam should deform this upper area surface and kind of indent it inside. So there's something I still need to accomplish. Okay? So, as I mentioned it, with SDArLo Scene Manager and SDArLo modeling, it's kind of parametrical. All this workflow is parametrical, procedural. So it will not take me major effort to insert this detail into this model, into this section. It will be done with as least amount of effort as possible, because it's procedural, its construction history is kept intact, and as I'm gonna add this intention in this area, formation in this area, my previous work will stay intact, and this will increase my productivity. Okay. The same thing is true for this one. Same thing is true for this one. Okay. What else? What else? Based on MCG cloning, I achieved kind of manageable, controllable distribution for this small parts. While in this old version, it was placed manually, which is unproductive kind of. If you want to add some, make this bolt distribution closer each other, you have to do this again from start manually. While in this case, I just need to play with distribution. One less, it's distributing it automatically. What else I would like to tell? All parts of this new model are 100% polygonal topology correct. So whichever part I'm going to choose will be 100% polygonal topology perfect. So this is the foot. I'm going to turn off my pole subdivision, and you can see shape is preserved by this old one. As I turn on and off, you can see that my shape is not preserving, and there is no perfect polygonality. Thin metal plate. So this is leaking with detail shell with metal section. This shell it perfectly well. In this case, nice. There's no thin metal plane. It's uncontrollable. While this one is controlled. You see that I'm losing my shape. It's possible some sort of preserved subdivision. Okay, this subdivision is possible to achieve by turning on smoothing group based controlling subdivision. If I turn on smoothing group control for subdivision. You can see that I'm losing my shape. But in this case, no smoothing group involved and the shape is preserved. Even the smallest details in the new version are polygonal topology perfect and preserving shape. Okay. Procedural, preserving shape. Okay, say opposite. Here is my, I'm losing my shape after applying OpenSplit. So this is another proof. Here is another result. This handle again. Okay, here is another kind of his handle. Okay, if I turn on policy division, again turn off smoothing group. So if I kind of review my old version with the new version, I can tell that subdivision is uneven. Okay, uneven subdivision, and ArLo is shape, non-controllable shape design. So it's ununderstandable why this section is kind of straight and then going curved. So its curvature is kind of, there's no design, no intention for shaping in this kind of contour of this handle. While in this case I have perfect design, I mean a controllable design, and as you can see at the cape I lose my polygonality. While in this case I have perfect polygonality. Shape is poly subdivision is perfect, is evenly distributed, 100% correct polygon subdivision, polygon topology, and controllable deformation, the subdivision. This handle can be animated, while this one cannot. This is designed for deformation, but this one is not designed for deformation. Again, as I'm turning on and off, I'm preserving my polygonality, I'm preserving my shape, while in this case, I'm losing my shape. This is unacceptable. For example, I'm turning on, and this curvature is not a designed controllable curvature. So I'm losing my shape in this area, in this area, in these areas. You see, it's becoming curved. Again, curved, this corner curved, this corner curved. Uncontrolled deformation, even if it's giving you curved result, is uncontrolled, unacceptable, and a lack of polygonality. Anyway, this is again losing shape. Anyway, here is I'm turning on and off. Separate part in this new one. I'm preserving shape. So one of the complex modeling was this kind of stripe, which is kind of should help this construction to hold together. This stripe in this old version is just a loop, okay, continuous loop, which is unlogical, incorrect in comparing with the real world. So in this case, you can see this is 100% logically correct construction. This is construction. So this is a holder with its bolts. And if I remove this side for a second, you can see that this is 100% logically correct, perfectly designed, polygonally, perfectly controllable way subdividing throughout pass-through subdivision, poly mesh. If I turn off subdivision, okay, see the power, okay, you can see I'm preserving my shape, and you can see that its shape is kind of going throughout all the way of the body, all the way of the body, and then coming around, coming to start where it started, coming to the point where it started, and then parallelly deforming into a exquisite shape. And throughout all these deformation, I managed to preserve these hole insertions. In a predictable way. Hole insertion in predictable way, and controllable chamfering and poly subdivision and topology included. So this is one of the complex portions of this modeling. While in this one, there's no such controlling way. So if I put this open subdiv, you can see that I am losing my design shape. It's becoming curved in this area. One more time. Well, kind of subdivision in this case is not that obvious that it's kind of corrupting its shape. It's kind of not that visible, but it can be acceptable as subdivision consistency shape, but there's not polygonal topology correctness in this case. You can see that this is not polygonally perfect shape. So again, this will give some problems at deformation. And there's no logical construction. So this band should be kind of at some point be squeezed. And you can see that this kind of squeezer which is holding together this construction is also perfectly designed, controllable, one of the major major problems when you are creating such construction is to keep its part 100% placed into its correct positions. Okay? So when you're working with you are placing all these details, all this deformation throughout all the way, and these all separate parts should talk with each other and be kind of connect with each other perfectly without penetrating each other's surfaces, polygonal surfaces. So this is the most complex thing which is possible to achieve with SDArLo imager and SDArLo modeling, and being able to place all these detail in their 100% perfect design places and without any penetrations, intersections, and so all these different parts will talk with each other in a way they come together for kind of constructing logically correct polygonal construction and be feasible in terms of its visibility. Now what I can say, it's 100% perfect, 100% perfect. There's some deformations, as I mentioned, which I have still to I forgot about them and still need to include them. I will do that. These tubes are again perfectly designed, and they are kind of this inner section, intersection surface with hole inside them. Again, if I turn on and off my subdivision, the extraction is poly surface shape is preserving. All these E-bows, E-leads are in a perfect polygonality state, as you can see. E-bow again. So, and well, in this case, this is just a sphere, and this is hemispheres. Okay, no polygonality included, 100% polygonality included. So the complex things is to create a composition, a polymesh composition, which separate parts are in their 100% perfect state, a perfect position, and in a designed shape with 100% polygonality. And so these different parts should talk with each other in a way they connect, come together, connect, intersect with each other, and keep this surface, their surfaces not intersectable, just intersect so they will come into each other in a logical way, but not their surface, but not intersecting without their surfaces intersection with each other. So, like in nature, so if like it's happening in a natural world. So if you put this 3D model in a 3D printer, you then take its parts, okay, and kind of combine them like a Lego in a real world. This is happening in this new version, while in this old version, there's no such things. Here is one thing that I would like again to mention is that I'm gonna show you one thing, okay? I'm gonna unhide all and select all. Configure report, statistics, and total blue selection, okay? Let's say vertex count, frame, triangle count, okay? So select all. Here is why I'm not a frame. Okay. Here is 99 entities objects selected, okay? So my old version contains 99 objects, so the complementary helping objects, kind of experiments, some successful modeling results, some sections which I can model. For example, for these two, I can kind of try 3 different methods for modeling, and each one will be correct for 33%, and I can take this successful 33% and bring together and construct my final result, okay? So all this happening throughout 99 objects, and if I roll back, final result is comprised from 95 objects, okay? So you can see 94, 99, so there's 5 objects which are not included into final result. As you can see, it's uncontrollable, kind of uncontrollable result. While this is in this new version controller, okay? Its elements, kind of all this composition is composed throughout 71 elements, entities, objects, so separate all elements, 71. But if I unhide all the objects, you can see that object quantity is entities quantity is 473 objects. So this final result was being able to achieve. This final result was being able to achieve throughout 473 kind of tries or object which was combined into final 71, not included this number, 71 final result. Okay, all included elements. Okay, in this new version, all included elements are 473 with the final result of 71, which is 100% polygonal surface. Okay, all elements, all separate details are polygonally perfect in their perfect condition, logical construction condition. Even these evils are designed. Evils are designed so they can be in future deformed, squeeze it on or enlarging it, deform it, and give a predictable. It would be possible to deform and give predictable result. These details, all these details, design details, you can see this chamfering alongside at the edge of evil pupil. Amazing. All these details are polygonally perfect. All this one polygonally perfect. See, and keeping there's no, you can see just a length. If I say poly, it's not meant for deformation. So it's not meant for deformation. If I say open subdiv, give it on open subdiv, it will give me some, it's corrupting its poly design, not preserving its shape, as you can see. This is what I would like to show you, that after almost how much? 15 years. After 15 years, why I wasn't be able or did this kind of complex modeling at 2006? Because I was leaking with the current technologies that I developed. SDArLo, Scene Manager, SDArLo project, or you can say SDArLo project manager, and SDArLo modeling. So by developing throughout 15 years, developing SDArLo Scene Manager or project manager and SDArLo modeling, I've been able to come up with this composition, with this 2021 composition. That's all. I guess that's all. All this, even this, you can see even this. If we go inside this fireplace, you can see how amazing is this inner insert. Even from inside, it's logically composited, constructed perfectly. So it's all these bolts. Okay, you can see that it's amazingly logically perfect. And all this was possible if we go here. There's no such thing. It's just an extruded insertion. While in this case, it's a logical construction. Logical construction with a perfect shaping of its kind of metal plane. shape. So this hole is kind of inserted, kind of printed inside this hole, and this cape was added from behind with the bolt holding it in place. But in this case, it's just a decorative shape. So this is kind of decorated result, while this is logically perfect result, ready to put into our subsequent animation production part, like rigging and deforming and animation. But this is impossible to deform because it's polygonal shape, and many other decorative kind of approach, detailed approach, is not allowing you to achieve a quality result. So this is the difference between 2006 and 2021. After 15 years developing SDArLo project manager, SDArLo modeling, I've been able to come up with the perfect result for targeted goal. Targeted goal is final animation, character animation. So this is a character. And I can animate it, deform its shapes. That's it. That's it all I want to record for this one. To demonstrate how powerful am I now against the 2006. 2021 Varden's SDArLo is powerful. No match with Varden of 2006. This is what I like to demonstrate. Perfect. All that are left for the modeling portion is to tweak some modeling issues which I found earlier for this kind of part. Maybe some tweaks at backside, at the top cape of the eyelid. Maybe some tweaks for this pipe, some subdivision loops for this water pipe and tubes, and maybe these elements should be separated from the tube because I connected at the method 1 as a kind of combined welded element kind of shapes by mistake. They should be kind of the holding this tube from touching the body. These details are holding this tube from touching kind of the body of fireplace, and then for kind of the distance area for not kind of so this is engineering construction kind of precaution for not ruining construction when this fireplace will be exploited. So recently I found that this deformation should happen as well. Some details. And we're left to unwrap it and surface paint it with PBR shading And I'm gonna come up with final result ready to subsequent workflows, reading and deforming, animating. But when PBR shading will be ready, it can be already I can start rendering it and give some images, some art piece for audience. Good. That's all.